Hey guys, welcome to the next episode in the Foundry podcast. And today I'm joined by my guest, Kaitlyn Carey.
Hey guys.
Kaitlyn is a TaeKwonDo instructor. She's been training martial arts for almost her entire life, and she brings that talent to the Foundry when she teaches martial arts classes for children and adults. And this weekend coming up, we have a tournament we're going to be competing in. And so we figured we'd talk with Kaitlyn about her class, her experience, and her background. And so from here, Kaitlyn, if you don't mind, just let's talk about what your background is.
I started in Taekwondo at 6, training that till now. When I was 12 or 13, I started looking for something else. Just kind of got bored with Taekwondo, wanted to try something different. So then I went to karate, the UFAF system, the Chuck Norris system, and that was really fun. And then I came back to the Foundry, started teaching more, and then got introduced to boxing first, and then kickboxing, Muay Thai, then a little bit of MMA. I know I went in and out of your class a lot, and then jiu-jitsu. And still doing Taekwondo, still teaching that. Took a break from karate and the other stuff, so not as active in the other ones now, but
So you have a lot of experience in multiple forms of martial
yes.
arts, and I know with that there, it grows on you in certain ways. Like I've done multiple martial arts as well. I don't lean as much towards the traditional martial arts like the Korean style, Japanese style, but I definitely see the benefit. And in your opinion, do you feel like the traditional martial arts have do they benefit more, or is it more tradition that you appreciate about them, or what draws you to those styles?
I appreciate the tradition of it. There's a lot of history behind it. I've always liked studying that. I think there's benefits to both of them. I like when I started boxing and got into the more fighting style of arts. I really like that a lot more. It's definitely a lot more challenging, I'd say. With traditional martial arts, you get into routine. It can be the same thing in class over and over again, and it gets boring. But when I started jiu-jitsu especially, that was always a challenge, being the little one out on the mat. But those were always fun. They kept me really active, and just it was always something new so I could learn stuff, because I was getting bored with traditional martial arts because it just felt like very repetitive and the same thing just over and over.
Well, the repetition kind of is formed off the idea of continuing to get disciplined on the techniques, correct?
Yeah.
So the more you train, the more disciplined your technique is, the better you're going to perform when the time comes. Do you agree with that?
I do. I think sometimes there's a high level of perfection in some places. So I can say I'm kind of a perfectionist when it comes to things, but I really do appreciate it. I think some people prefer traditional martial arts because it resonates with them better. It just fits their personality and maybe how they even live their life better. Whereas fighting martial arts, some people just like constantly going at it, and it's just something new each time.
Sure. As far as the workout behind it, how do you feel that a traditional martial art like Taekwondo, karate, can people get a really good workout in that program as well?
Of course, of course. When I'm teaching my kids, it's trying to get all their energy out. So I kind of have to make a plan for them to be constantly moving, but it can't be the same drill for 10 minutes because, they're going to lose focus and they're going to be like, I'm bored, I'm tired, I want to leave. So you got to keep, kind of just keep them interested and keep changing it. I'd say if someone switches over from fighting martial arts, whether it's boxing or something, and then goes into a traditional martial art, it's still a workout. It's just a different type of workout.
For sure. Now, I started martial arts a long time ago, 2001, which to some people isn't a long time ago, but I know for someone like you, it's before you were born. So when I started training martial arts, mixed martial arts wasn't really as big. I remember growing up watching Karate Kid and other movies like that. And so what most of my peers know martial arts as, or at the time did, was the traditional martial art, karate, taekwondo, things like that. And that's what actually got me interested in starting martial arts. Is I'd watch like old kung fu movies and things like that, and me and my buddies would watch it and want to try to learn and pick things up. But now our landscape is a little bit different, where you see, a higher percentage of martial arts schools that feature more, I guess you could say, contemporary martial arts forms like boxing, kickboxing, jujitsu, MMA. But in your opinion, you started with the traditional martial arts. What was it that, you know, brought you into that? I know you were young, so you maybe didn't make the full decision, but
The full decision was really my dad's. It was coming more from a self-protection point of view. A young kid, parents aren't always going to be around. They want me to know how to protect myself if in any scenario happens. Um, that's really how I started it. And then once I got older, um, it just became a real hobby for me. And I like learning new things all the time. And it just kept me busy, because I got homeschooled. So I didn't have like extracurricular activities, no sports or anything. So it just turned into, let me see how many martial arts I can do.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And in those experiences, as I said, a lot of the media at the time, and even nowadays, likes the flashiness, especially Taekwondo.
Very.
Taekwondo is a very flashy martial arts. The kicks are incredible. A lot of jumping, moving techniques. So, do you feel like that is something that kind of kept you interested in it, is seeing things like that on?
I think so. The jumping, flying kicks were always fun to watch. I'd go on YouTube and watch some of the Korean studios and see what their demo teams would look like. It's like, I wonder if I could do that. So, and now if I realized that I was going to stay like short, I would have done gymnastics too. So I could put them both together.
Yeah.
That would have been fun.
Yeah. Well, we have those both here at the gym, which is interesting. But with that, going back into the media side of things, you see, people that get into other types of martial arts related media. So you have obviously competition, you have fighters, and in most of the, I guess you could say, athletic scene where people are getting paid to compete, that would be more towards kickboxing, Muay Thai, MMA, jiu-jitsu, and stuff along those lines. You don't really see paid karate tournaments at this stage. But like I said, I do notice a lot in media, like television shows, movies, that they do implement a lot of that Taekwondo. And with that comes the ability to do stunt work and things like that. Is that something that ever interests you?
A little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know if like I get the opportunity to do it, but I wouldn't say no probably.
But as somebody who's interested in martial arts, what would you think is especially a traditional martial arts, what do you think that their stepping point would be from, starting off? Let's talk about that, the progression starting off, and then what they can work their way towards.
As far as a new student?
Yeah.
One thing I've seen a lot, especially with younger kids and they grow up in it kind of like I did, is their confidence levels start to really show. I've seen a couple kids come in and they're really shy and kind of timid. They're kind of scared to come up to me and talk to me. But then you see them kind of blossom and they start getting new friends in the class and they're really excited to show up and they want to learn and they just become so interested in it and they want to continue to learn. They want to grow. And that, as a teacher, that really makes me feel appreciated. Like I'm doing something right. They want to come back.
Yeah.
So that's always helpful.
So let's say someone starts doing Taekwondo and they get into techniques. What's a typical workout in Taekwondo entail?
Typical, I'll go from the adult class standpoint. We'll warm up. We'll probably run a couple laps. We'll start with most likely all their basic movements. So go through all their kicks, their stances and blocks just to make sure, they're up to date and see if there's anything that they need to work on. Then we'll go through their forms, which there's always something to work on with those. It's never perfect.
Can you explain what a form is if somebody doesn't know?
A form is basically a series of movements compiled together from all our basic movements that we learn, all our kicks, and it's a pattern that we memorize and we perform. So some people compare it to almost like a dance routine. For this, some styles, it's like a fighting routine almost. I'd say the Taekwondo style of forms, it's more just showing your knowledge of all your basic movements, your blocks, and what kicks you can do. They're meant to look pretty,
So it's like a single person choreography
pretty
of a
much.
fight scene,
Yeah.
basically. And you said that they have certain forms to practice. Is there like a progression of forms? Is it something that everyone has their own techniques that they come up with, or is there something that they're judged based on?
How we judge their forms is typically how confident they are in performing it. Do they know what they're going to do next, or can we see, are they guessing on what they're going to do next? And then how solid are their movements? Does it show power? Is it kind of weak? Do you think they'd actually hurt someone if they did that? It's kind of like that.
Okay. So after they've practiced their forms and they've done their basic stuff, do you guys include sparring in class? Is that
We
something?
do, especially with the tournament coming up. We'll gear up. They'll do some sparring. Today, actually, I'm introducing my kids to a style of fighting for them. It's called flag sparring. So, flag football, they have the belt with the two flags on it. So the kids will have that on and helmet on, and it's typically a mouth guard because you never know.
Yeah.
What they're going to try to do is they're not looking to kick or punch each other, but what they're trying to do is take the flag off. So they'll circle around, step in, step out. It kind of helps them understand that distance play, and then they'll try and get the flag off. Once they get both of them off their opponent, then they'll get a point, and they do that for like 2 minutes.
So it's kind of a game that you initiate to help with the processes they have to
Right.
learn.
And most times they don't even realize it's like a sparring thing. They're like, this is fun. I want to do this again. So then you're already kind of engaging their mind into of how sparring might work in the future if it's something they choose to do.
Sure. So it's like the old Mr. Miyagi technique.
Pretty much.
Yeah. You learn through a different method, maybe something that doesn't feel like sparring, but when the time comes, they'll have quick reflexes, be able to get in and out, and obviously defend themselves.
Of course.
What's the main targets that they're looking for in a sparring match?
Above the belt, so rib cage, stomach, chest, head. So with the headgear, I know someone who got disqualified for giving someone a bloody nose, which I don't exactly agree with. I don't like the kind of little to no contact rule after, training with you and going into kickboxing stuff. I'm like, this is fun. I don't think there should be no contact. I feel like it should be contact of some sort so that they know that they got hit, but it has to be controlled.
For sure, yeah. I think that, also being a martial arts instructor, I see the value in different levels of contact for sure, especially in training. We don't train aggressively all the time. There are times when we have fights coming up and stuff that we might increase our contact level, but I could definitely see in some cases that you'd want to avoid that. I know that kids can be a little bit less ready to take that hit, but I see also what you're saying, that it's important to know what it's like to get hit,
right?
In case you do get hit for real. People in a self-defense situation aren't going to be lightly tapping you.
Yeah, I think, like you said, there's levels to it. Certain age groups should be allowed to have a little more contact than others. Obviously, kids are a no-go. You don't know what could happen with that.
Sure.
But that's why the flag sparring was so fun. I never got to do it, but I get to let them do it.
Teach it. That's great. Well, that's good. And then as far as like after sparring and after things like that, is there any traditions that you guys have in the class, maybe to finish up or anything like that?
We've started going over the tenets of Taekwondo: integrity, perseverance, respect. It's trying to get that into their mind of that's where martial arts stems from. That's what Taekwondo is based off of. And every time you step on the mat and you bow to the flags, you're respecting everyone that's been on that mat before you.
Sure.
So you have to respect that for one. And, you're there to learn, you're there to grow. So
Yeah, I think a lot of people hear the word martial art and they think fight style, but what it's more about is a way of life, right? It's a living art. And so, you know, although I don't come from a traditional background, I definitely see the benefit of that when it comes to, like you said, your confidence level, your discipline, your ability to, you know, put yourself through hardship in training, but in order to get the result, and that result is, being able to handle tough
yeah.
situations, not give up, and again, work on your respect, your integrity, and things like that. So I definitely see the value in that, and something that I try to incorporate even in our, what you could say, non-traditional martial arts like jiu-jitsu and boxing and Muay Thai and things like that. As far as the students that you teach, I know you've been teaching for a couple of years now. Is there anything that you've seen that just is fulfilling for you as a coach? Maybe a student in general, in particular, that you've seen that just made it worthwhile for you?
There's one student in particular that I have right now. I just tested him to high yellow. He's just turned 7, and he kind of reminds me a lot of me when I was that age. And he has these like light bulb moments almost. It's like, that makes sense. And then he does it like perfectly. And then the students that, they've been really struggling and, they don't want to come back. And then one day they come and it's just like, I don't want to leave. That
Yeah.
makes me really happy.
Sure.
And the fact that the students that I have, they always give me hugs before and after class.
Yeah.
So I'm like, they like me.
Yeah.
I hope at least.
Of course they do,
And,
yeah.
I'm doing the best I can as their coach and their teacher. And I try to always keep the parents involved, in what they're doing, how they're doing, and anything they can work on.
Well, that's awesome. And I think that, one of the things that people who haven't taught children don't understand is that it's more than just teaching them a specific movement. Like, you have to be an example to these kids. You have to be a role model to them, and you have to like show them what it's like to be, not just productive, but you know, live the tenets that you're teaching to these kids too. And I've definitely seen that, as with you as my student over the years. I definitely see that part of you, and I'm glad to have you here as a coach. If you were to talk to somebody who is interested in Taekwondo, what are some of the topics that they would like to, that might help them try a class out?
For any adult that wants to do Taekwondo, it's always a great workout. You're gonna learn a lot of stuff from it. Um, it's really, I see it as almost a group workout for mostly adults that want to try it. It's gonna help them gain more flexibility, strength that they didn't really know they could do. Um, and sometimes working with younger people around and kids and stuff kind of helps motivate them a little bit more than they think because they want to try and keep up with them.
Sure.
And then I've noticed some kids will look up to the older students and they don't realize it, but they're becoming a role model for the little one. So that's where they have to realize I can't be screwing around in class. I have to pay attention. I have to do what the teacher's telling me to do.
Now, you're pretty young yourself.
Yeah.
Have you ever had an issue with an adult that was older than you in your classes? Maybe respect, or someone thinking that they might know more than you?
Surprisingly, no, not yet. I feel like there will be a day for that to come. But I think I put a lot of pressure on myself because I know I'm younger than some. And when adults come in and they want to try the class, it's like, how old are you? How long have you been doing this? And when I say, almost 11 years now, they'll think I'm a little older than like 18. And then I tell them that, they're like, oh. So then I get worried about them like respecting me and
Sure.
wanting to learn from me because of that. But I feel like if they watch my class, if they see how I teach and how I want them to grow, I think they'll realize that, she knows what she's doing. She's been in this for a little while and, she's not just guessing.
Yeah. And personally, do you feel that teaching, I know you get confidence through learning. Do you think
Mhm.
teaching has upped your confidence?
Oh, definitely. Definitely,
Yeah.
especially with the kids. If you'd asked me probably a year ago if I'd end up taking over the kids class and teaching them, I would have said no, no way. But now they're really amazing. I really love teaching them,
Yeah.
and I'm really glad that I got that opportunity to do it.
I think it's super rewarding, and I hope that you agree with me. It's not just teaching the kids. You're breaking off little pieces of you
Hmm.
and planting seeds in them, and it's like I have students. Talk about myself for a second, but I have students that I've been teaching for a long time. One of my you know longest students that I've had, his name is Will, and Will's been with me since he was 14, and he's 25, 26 now, so a long time. And it's funny because Will and I are different builds. He's a taller, leaner guy. I'm shorter and thicker guy. Um, and we have different backgrounds otherwise. But when I see him out there fighting and sparring, I see like, oh, that's me. Oh, that's me. That's me. And so, as a coach, it makes me feel like super, and Will's his own guy now. He's been training such a long time, like you, about 10, 11, 12 years now. So it's like he's got his own style. And even though I see my techniques and my coaching in him, I also see that he's done his own thing. And I'm sure your instructors looked at you the same way. Like, you know, they see the technique that they've instilled in you, but then from there, you
Kind of
kind
make
of
it
make
my
your own.
own. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's a chance for you as well.
I
You're going to
know.
see that too, where people are taking what Kaitlyn has shown them and then making it great for themselves instead of just, copy pasting.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I think that's awesome. As far as, I know you're pretty young and maybe that's not something you want to think about, but if you were to have kids one day, would you want them to do more traditional martial art, or you think that they would do something different?
I think I'd want to put them in something different.
Mm-hmm.
I think I don't know. I've thought about it and I might start them off in like kickboxing or boxing. And then if they choose to do a traditional martial art and they want to switch over, that's completely their choice.
Mm-hmm.
I won't force it on them. This is what I've done. They don't have to do it if they don't want to.
Sure.
I will be kind of sad if they don't want to do martial arts at all,
I don't think that's
but
possible.
it's their choice.
Yeah. I think that it's kind of in the DNA to some degree. It's like my kids have done martial arts, and I'm sure at some point, even if it's not like day one, there's gonna be some wrestling and some kicks and stuff around the house. You'll be like,
Hopefully.
hold on a second, let me show you how to do that the right way. Um, so going into talking about students that we've had before, um, I know that one of the aspects of the Foundry and the reason that we offer multiple styles is because some people maybe aren't interested in more of the contact styles. Um, so what do you think about somebody who's, they want to learn martial arts, but they're a little afraid to leave here with a bloody nose or a black eye?
Then traditional martial arts is probably your way to go.
Mm-hmm.
Most schools and in mine as well, I don't make you do sparring if you don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like you to watch it and do at least one round just to see
Sure.
how it is. Um, Typically with something like that, you'll be paired up with an older student, higher rank, so they're not gonna
Mm-hmm.
rip you apart. You're not gonna break anything or have any cuts anywhere. So that's usually what I'd like to do.
Well, I'm glad that we have options.
Mhm.
That's definitely something that's important. As far as some of the other coaches, can you take a couple minutes to talk about some of your fellow coaches and their backgrounds?
Sure. You were my jujitsu coach
Obviously.
and Muay Thai coach
Yeah.
and MMA coach.
Yeah.
So I think most people know a lot about you.
But in
um,
in the Taekwondo
in
side, yes.
Taekwondo.
Yeah.
I've had Tim Snyder. He's the one that I started with over actually in the same area the gym is in on the second floor. He had about 3 broken up classes. I started in the all-star program because I was 6. And then after my first test, I think he told my dad, she's better than that. And
Mm-hmm.
so I got put up into the beginner class. I think I was the youngest one in there. It was always fun. I know he trained under Master Gladwell up in Pennsylvania. I've gone to his studio once. He is a really, really amazing instructor, and he taught me a lot. Even I was there for one day, and I learned so much.
Yeah.
He's a great instructor, and Tim, I was with him for 9-10 years, I believe. And I've seen that studio grow, and now being able to teach on my own at the Foundry is really exciting and really fun. It's a lot more work than I kind of thought it would be,
Yeah.
but I think it's really worth it.
Coming up with lesson plans isn't as easy as some people might
No,
think.
it's really not. Some days I'm like, what are we gonna do today? And then my karate coach, Mr. Elias, Chuck Elias, over on Ladies Island, he taught me a lot. He knew going in that I had a black belt in TaeKwonDo, so I kind of knew what I was doing. But he picked on me. He picked on me. He's like, I know you can do better than that. I'm like, oh, fine, okay. So, and I made a lot of friends there. He taught me a lot. I can say more so from as a person, growing as a person and as a martial artist. And when he found out that I wanted to start teaching more, he really helped me kind of figure out, they're there for you. You have to lead them. You have to be the person they look up to.
Sure.
And that really helped a lot. And it made me realize that, I may know what I'm doing myself, but it's a lot different to teach it.
For sure.
A lot different.
Yeah. To convey that knowledge, But I also know that you are a good coach. You're a good teacher. I've definitely seen it, and I've seen your students improve. And I hear lots of praises about that. Now, as far as the competition, this is going to be your first time coaching at a competition,
It
right?
will be. I have no idea what I'm doing. I have no idea.
I'm sure you're going to do great. Let's talk about the competition. This is a traditional martial arts tournament.
Yes.
It's not just for UFAF members. You can do it as any traditional martial arts, right? So what are the different areas of the competition?
You have your katas or forms, your weapons, and your point fighting or flag fighting. Each division is broken down by age and belt rank. So beginners will go first, then intermediate, and then advanced. Black belts will be at the end. So how that goes is you'll pick, the group of students will go in. Forms are usually first, and then you'll do your weapons form, whatever weapon they choose. I've seen some kids with the size, kind of like the dagger looking things. I always wanted to learn those. They're really cool. I think so, at least. And then they'll go to point fighting at the end. I always like to watch the point fighting because you can really see how confident someone is. And ages are fun to watch. You'll see the little kids. I think 7 and 8 year olds can do point fighting now. It's so funny.
I've seen some kids at matches before in jiu-jitsu where they're like 3 years old, and you're just like, they're so small. They look like little dolls, but I can only imagine doing some
when they
points
put
for
the
'em.
headgear on, the gloves, and the little feet pads. I'm like, where'd the kid go?
It's like a little floating armor set. As far as that goes, how does somebody win a point sparring match?
It can be either two ways. It's a 2-minute round. You win points by, the judges will call it. So if you hit to the body or the head, whether it's by punch or kick, usually they'll say point, they'll stop the timer, you'll go back to your sides, and they'll point to which side won the point. Now, whoever has the most points at the end of that 2 minutes will win.
Okay.
Or if there's a 5-point difference, even before the time is up, so say you've only been going a minute and there's already a 5-point difference, then that person automatically wins and they'll just stop it.
So if we're each getting point, then it's no big deal. But if someone's obviously dominating, then
they'll call it. Yeah.
I gotcha. And then as far as what you had mentioned before, with there being certain like disqualifications, you can get disqualified for landing a punch.
You can get disqualified for hitting too hard, or bad sportsmanship. If a kid starts like misbehaving, screaming, or yelling at the other person because they lost, then yeah, they'll get disqualified.
Okay.
I haven't seen that yet, though.
No, I don't think. I would imagine that most coaches are going to keep their kids from doing that. It's not like the old Karate Kid, Cobra Kai days where
No.
there's like whole fights in schools and stuff like you see on TV. But I thought it was interesting. The last Olympics, they added karate
They did.
as a
They
new
did.
form, which is hilarious to me because karate's been a martial art for hundreds of years. But they just added it to the Olympics in the 2024, or excuse me, 2020 Olympics. And I thought it was interesting the gold medal match. Do you remember what I'm talking about? One
I
of the gold
think
medal
so.
matches, a guy ended up kicking his opponent in the head and he knocked him out. It was unintentional, but he lost the match by
Mhm.
winning with a knockout. So, what are your thoughts on that? I know your thoughts on it, but just let's share it with everyone else.
Yeah.
It's a martial art.
Yeah.
It's a fighting style, right?
It happens, you know?
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
gonna happen, and there's nothing wrong with it, you
Mhm.
know?
I think at that level, this is the best in the world, right?
Right. You got into the Olympics,
There's got to
so
be a little bit of toughness.
there has to be.
Yeah.
I mean, how long would they have trained to be able to qualify for the Olympics?
Mhm.
And then you get upset over that. No.
I gotcha. I think I agree with you. I think that I understand if a parent doesn't want their kid to get kicked in the head very hard.
Right.
I don't want their kids getting kicked in the head hard
No.
either. And I understand if someone's like a surgeon or something, or they're a model, they don't want to get beat up before they have to go to work, especially in positions where they have, to look professional
Mhm.
and not have black eyes and broken noses and stuff. But I would imagine that level, you got to take some risk.
You
And
have to.
I would hope that the Olympic Committee would be a little bit more understanding that it is a contact sport.
Mhm.
But well, moving forward, we have some opportunities. Like you said, this weekend we're going to compete in the local tournament here in Beaufort, South Carolina. What's the name of the tournament?
Goodwill tournament.
And it's Chuck who's putting that event on, right?
Yes.
Chuck Elias.
Yep. Does it every year.
Every year. Well, if you guys get a chance to come out and watch the fight, we'd love to see you there. If you want to come try a class out or bring one of your children into class, there is different levels for everyone, as we said. So maybe if a child isn't really interested in the contact as much, still a good thing to learn the techniques, get the discipline, get the workout. But in our school, if somebody is interested in sparring, we let them spar, right?
Of course.
Yeah, and we definitely are safe here, and we talk about that in every episode. But I think kids' safety is huge. But there's something important about learning how to take a shot here and there, especially in a martial art. So awesome. Do you have anything coming up that you want to let everyone know about?
Nothing I can think of.
All right. Well, come see Kaitlyn in our TaeKwonDo class. I appreciate you coming on today, Kaitlyn.
Of course.
And thanks for talking to me. And if you guys can, go ahead and subscribe to our channel. Watch our next episode. We try to post them every Monday. Thanks and have a good day.